Hello and welcome back to Redeeming Reels, where I seek to watch movies and see the redemption within the reels. And today I've got a movie review for you. Technically, this is the first ever movie review on the Redeeming Reels podcast, or whatever you want to call it. I call it a creative project because I'm trying to do more than just podcast episodes, trying to do movie reviews, video essays, Instagram kind of posts stuff, all of those type of things. And so I call it a creative project. You can call it a podcast or a show. It really doesn't matter. But I'm trying to do more than just the typical, call it a podcast. I might be compensating. I don't know. But today I'm going to be reviewing Asteroid City, one of my favorite releases of 2023. In the next couple days, this is going to be being released on August 2nd. And so if you're listening to this and it's August 2nd, I believe on August 3rd or 4th, I'll be releasing my Barbenheimer review and kind of spiritual review. So let's go ahead and get into it. So Asteroid City is legendary director. Can I say legendary yet? I personally think so, but it's legendary director Wes Anderson's 11th feature-length film. And it's been getting mixed reviews. It's come at a time where right before it came out, I'm a little late on this review, but it came out at a time where there was a huge kind of Wes Anderson TikTok trend where people were making videos of their day, or they were doing something, they were doing an activity, they were making food and shooting it, kind of videotaping it like Wes Anderson's style. And so it came off where there's a bunch of people who have never seen a Wes Anderson film are going into this movie to then see it, and they're not used to his style, his flair, all these things, and you get mixed reviews. And Wes Anderson, it's coming off of The French Dispatch, which also was mixed reviewed. I personally was not a fan of The French Dispatch. It's the lowest that I've seen so far. But Asteroid City, I believe, is Wes's best film to date, which is saying something given his other films like The Grand Budapest Hotel, Fantastic Mr. Fox, Moonrise Kingdom, or even his first project, Rushmore. And so before we get into my thoughts, I want to give you just kind of some facts about the film. So Asteroid City is set in a fictional American desert town circa 1955. The itinerary of the Junior Stargazer Space Cadet Convention, organized to bring students and parents from across the country for fellowship and scholarly competition. And it's spectacularly disrupted by these world-changing events. Wes Anderson always has the reputation of having a great ensemble of casts, very stacked, and this one might be his most stacked ever, starring Jason Schwartzman, Scarlett Johansson, Tom Hanks, Jeffrey Wright, Tilda Swinton, Bryan Cranston, Edward Norton, Adrian Brody, Maya Hawke, Steve Carell, Willem Dafoe, and Margot Robbie, just to name a few. And this cast is nothing short of spectacular. Like I said, this film was directed by Wes Anderson. It was also written by him. Cinematography was done by Robert D. Yeoman and Tristan Oliver. Scores composed by Daniel Pemberton and is edited by Alexandre Desplat. Forgive me if I'm saying that wrong. And yeah, this is brilliantly done. I just want to give you some spoiler-free thoughts at first. And like I said, I believe this is Wes's best film to date. I absolutely adored it. In the past 6 months, I've got a lot into his filmography. I mean, 6 months ago, I had never even seen a Wes Anderson film, and I immediately fell in love. I haven't seen everything. I haven't seen The Royal Tenenbaums, Darjeeling Unlimited, or whatever it is. I haven't seen Life Aquatic or Bottle Rocket, but I've seen quite a bit. What are considered to be his best films I've seen. But Asteroid City is Wes's magnum opus, right? I firmly believe that his style is like unmatched, and this certain film style in this movie just comes out even more, and it's his flair and his style times a million. It's the most Wes Anderson film. Wes's flair and his camera work and the cinematography is one of my favorite things about his films, and in this film it's very front and center. Every shot, every movement, it feels so deliberate, it feels so on purpose, and obviously that is with every film, but something about Wes Anderson makes me feel like it's being labored over, which I really do appreciate. I absolutely love the kind of the color palette and the colors, the vibrant colors of this town, and the contrast with the black and white, which I'll tell more about in spoilers. But I love the colors. I love the production kind of design of this town. You feel like you're in the middle of nowhere with them, experiencing this thing that they are experiencing, and you feel very, very drawn in. And I personally really, really enjoyed that. And like I said, there's a massive cast. I mean, when this got released, I was like, holy smokes, how are you going to have time for everybody, right? But they do. Everybody gives great performances. Steve Carell was hilarious. The kids that were playing the junior stargazers and space cadets were wonderful. I thought Tom Hanks, who plays kind of this grandparent role, is a real standout. I think he did really, really well after a string of some not good films. And not the best performances like Elvis and Pinocchio. But I think he was perfect in his role. Adrian Brody, Margot Robbie, those are two that I really, really enjoyed, even though they had very minimal roles. But in those small little scenes, they deliver some of the best performances. But this is really Jason Schwartzman and Scarlett Johansson's film. They are front and center. They are the main people in our film, and they give beautiful, beautiful performances. Jason Schwartzman is incredible. His ability to kind of communicate grief through acting and through his performance, I thought was palpable. And then Scarlett Johansson just gives one of my favorite performances I think I've ever had seen from her. And I think she does just an incredible job showing the emotion of her character. And her character is incredibly layered, and there's some complexities to it. And I think she does a brilliant job. So I really, really enjoyed her performance, both giving beautiful, beautiful, touching performances. And honestly, I do think Scarlett Johansson should get an Oscar nom for either best supporting actress, I want to say, maybe best actress. I don't know how exactly that works, but whatever she goes for, I think she should be nominated. And I do think this is one of Wes's best written. It explores the themes of loss, grief, continuing on, and this film is overall very thematically rich, which we will get to in the redemption aspect of this film. Not to mention, I think the movie's funny. Lots of laugh out loud jokes. I think they mostly land for me. It's kind of dry humor. Like I said, Steve Carell is hilarious. There's a bit of a kid who always is asking his dad, or he's like, do you dare me to do this thing? And it's very funny because it gets really serious. It's good comedy. I really enjoyed it. But so now I'm going to get into some spoilers. So if you don't want to get spoiled, please go watch the movie. Although you might want to check out Wes Anderson a little bit more before you do watch Asteroid City. Because like I said, this is the most Wes Anderson film. This film breaks the fourth wall as it is revealed that the movie is actually about a playwright, Conrad Earp, played by Edward Norton, who is writing a play called Asteroid City, set in its namesake town. Set in September 1955, the play has 3 acts, which you do see. The film shows like these. It cuts to these like Act 1 or scenes 1 through 3. All right, and it plays with the play has 3 acts with a satirical premise that keeps getting absurd as this playwright, played by Edward Norton, starts to resonate more and more with one of the main characters, Augie, who is played by Jason Schwartzman. Okay, most of the actors in the movie play dual roles. They play actors who are working on this production, and they also play the characters that they play in Asteroid City, if that makes sense. Edward Norton is the brilliant but fading writer, Earp. His lover, best friend, Jones Hall, is played by Jason Schwartzman, who acts as Augie, a war photographer and a widower with 4 children. Scarlett Johansson plays a very complex role. She plays Mercedes, the actress who has a tiff with the playwright's director. And she also plays playing Midge, a single mother and popular actress. So she's an actress playing an actress who's playing an actress. Kind of complicated. Jeffrey Wright is a general. Tilda Swinton is a kind of a scientist organizing this whole stargazing convention. And Steve Carell kind of runs the town. I mean, everybody. Adrian Brody is plays Schubert Green, who is the director of the play. So there's lots of different roles and different complexities, and it goes back and forth between black and white of like the kind of the playwright and the production of the play, and then the actual play, like the movie itself. When they were in Asteroid City, it is the play that is happening, and there's a lot that could be talked about in terms of this film, and I really enjoyed the switch from black and white and the kind of the title cards. And I could go on and on and on about it, but I won't, right? The entire play is set around these junior stargazers and these space cadets. And essentially, during Asteroid Day, everyone's supposed to be looking up at this meteor shower. They got like these cardboard box things. It's kind of funny. They're looking up and they see these 3 dots, and then all of a sudden there's another dot and it's green. And all of a sudden you see this alien come down, and it's very comedic. It's very funny. And this alien comes down, takes the asteroid from Asteroid City, and leaves. And you kind of see, I think it's stop motion, what Wes Anderson has worked with before with Fantastic Mr. Fox or Isle of Dogs. And it's kind of this mix of what he's done in the past. But they see this alien, and obviously then everyone's quarantined for a week, and kind of the thing goes on where then we see our 2 main characters, Augie and Midge, they're constantly dealing with this, their grief and what's going on in their lives back home away from Asteroid City, and obviously dealing with the life-altering news that there are aliens in the world. And the thing that I really appreciate about the film, the moment, I mean, I saw this film 3 times in theaters. It's one of my favorites of the year. Like I said, it's my favorite Wes Anderson. There's a moment, I shouldn't say just a moment, but the actor. So Jason Schwartzman's playing this actor who then is acting in Asteroid City's play. And the actor is constantly confused about the play. He doesn't understand why certain things are happening or why certain decisions are made. And he keeps asking the director, or not the director, he keeps asking the playwright, like, why these things are. And he seemingly doesn't know. And he's constantly doing this, questioning. Like, why is this happening? Why are these things working out the way that they are? I still don't understand the play. And there's a moment after Midge and our 2 main characters, Midge and Augie, are talking, and they're talking about grief, and they're talking about loss and all these things. And Augie is making this grilled cheese sandwich on this quickie griddle, and in the moment's notice, they're talking about grief. He burns his hand immediately, maybe to snap himself out of reality. And that's a question that this actor playing Augie is wondering. Why does he burn his hand? Why does he do this? It seemingly doesn't make any sense. And there's a moment when everything's going haywire, the alien returns, and this actor playing Augie runs off stage. He runs off stage, and he's like, goes up to the director, and he's sitting there, and he's like, what are you doing? He's like, I don't talk for another 7 minutes. I have a question. Shoot, what's your question? He's like, I still don't understand the play. And the director, played by Adrian Brody, gives one of the most insightful things that I've heard in a film all year. He said, it doesn't matter. Just keep telling the story. It doesn't matter. Just keep telling the story. And this is where the movie, the film meets the redemption, where this meets the gospel, where this meets the character of God. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do here with Redeeming Reels, right? And I believe there's 2 applications. One that I saw immediately, one that was brought up through an article I read by Josh Larson, he's an author and a writer, editor, I think Christian. But the first one is from Josh Larson. There's this element of Asteroid City gives what some would call like a preaching tip, where, and I resonated with it. I really, really enjoyed it, because not only does there's points in preaching, there's points in as a pastor when you're trying to go through a book of the Bible, right? And the example that Josh Larson gives is the example of Genesis chapter 22, with the sacrifice of sacrifice of Isaac with Abraham. And it's just a weird story. It's a complicated story. And it's like, why? Like, you get there in the teaching calendar and the sermon calendar, and like, why do I got to teach this? Why this? This just is so difficult. It's like, just keep telling the story. Just keep being faithful to the text, faithful to the scriptures in your preaching. I love that. I think that's so applicable for me, for many others who try to teach and preach the Bible. It's amazing. I love it. And maybe if I had more time, I would talk more about it. But the thing that I got, I mean, I watched this film 3 times, and it, I mean, deeply moved me in multiple ways, because throughout this whole film, you have two characters that, in their own way, and I don't want to spoil everything, are dealing with grief. They're dealing with loss. They're dealing with, and these are the play characters. They're dealing with these things, and it just doesn't make sense to the person playing that character. Why are these decisions being made? Why don't I understand the play? Why is this going on? What's happening? It's like, just keep going. Just keep telling the story, right? What I get from that is like, I live my life as I deal with grief, as I deal with heartache, as I deal with loss. I don't understand the play, right? The play being God's story, his overarching narrative, him sovereignly being in control. And it's like, God, I don't understand the play. I don't understand what's going on. Why are these things happening? Why is this like this? And God's just like, keep going. Trust me, trust the director, trust the playwright, whatever. God is the director, he's the playwright, the author. Keep telling the story. Keep telling God's story. Keep using my personal testimony of loss and grief and heartache and all these things to further the story of God. And that's honestly what I get from this. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. But that's a moment that resonated with me immediately in the movie, where I just like kind of sat back, and I take this with me everywhere. If you want to look at this is a little notebook. I write down thoughts and stuff, and this is a new one, so I don't have much in there right now. But I remember writing down like, just keep telling the story, because it was the thing that just immediately struck me, and it's why I went back and watched this movie multiple times. And it's true that we don't understand everything. We don't understand the authors, where the author's taking this story, but we just have to keep telling it, because we trust the author, we trust the director, we trust the one who is in charge of the story, that it will work out. And that's my encouragement from Asteroid City. Like I said, I loved this movie on a technical level and on a thematic level. I thought it was beautiful. One of my favorite films of the year. Right now I have it sitting at number 5 on the year. I gave it 5 stars for 97 out of 100. So if you haven't seen it, go watch some Wes Anderson films. If you haven't seen his films, then I encourage you to go watch Asteroid City. Thank you for listening. I love you guys. What was your favorite?